What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Picasso's Pizza post-game show, brought to you obviously by Picasso's Pizza. Get your pizza anywhere nationwide, shipped anywhere nationwide for your game days. This season, the Bills fall to the Houston Texans 23-21 in a game that was a roller coaster for a Bills fan, for your emotions. There's a lot of bad to take out of this game, honestly. If they would have won, it would have been sneaking away with one with a lot to work on. But this game was rough from the start. 14-3 lead in the first quarter. Offense looked anemic. Allen's stats on the day, he started out like 1 for 8, 1 for 9. You ready for the Josh Allen stats of the day? 9 for 30 today. And it started off slow like that too. Just a disaster class around the board. There's so much we have to get into about what the Bills did wrong today, and then they're still in a position. It's 23-20, and they're still in a position late in this game, 2020, to potentially win this game and come back. It's a show of resilience, and they had some good adjustments going into the third quarter, or coming into the third quarter, that ended up getting them back into this game, but it's a disaster around the board, honestly. Everybody failed at some point in this game, and it cost the Bills in a scenario where they could have been 4-1 and atop of the AFC with the Chiefs, potentially, depending on what happens tomorrow night on Monday night. And now, after the Ravens defeat the Bengals in overtime, which puts them ahead of the Bills in the AFC standings, now the Texans are 4-1 and will have the tiebreaker over the Bills. It makes the Bills climb to even a 2 seed or a 3 seed this year, even that much harder, because they have these head-to-head losses. Now they have to finish ahead of these people. So maybe they end up a 4 seed or a 3 seed, and that could hurt them in the playoff ranking. So these were 2 incredibly important back-to-back games that the Bills failed on every level. Today, they fought back. They played hard in the second half, but it wasn't enough. They put themselves in too deep of a hole. 20-3 against this team, it can't happen. It can't happen. It just can't happen. So let's get into it a little bit. Josh Allen was terrible today. He was terrible. And it was a trend that I talked about from last Sunday night's game. When you see Allen running to the right, we've heard a lot of announcers and analysts say, oh, Allen running to his right is lethal, like one of the most dangerous quarterbacks. But usually what it means is that he's not seeing his first read and trying to make a play, right? Like that's pretty obvious that he's not liking what he saw from the pocket and feels like he needs to go out there and make a play. This year when Allen rolls out, it's not good news for the Bills because they don't have guys that can get open freestyling like that, at least that we've seen so far. That was one of the things that Diggs did the best. I'm not going to talk about Stephon Diggs and the big story and any of the storylines or anything going into this game. Diggs was the leading receiver for the Houston Texans today, 6 for 82. But Nico Collins had the 67-yard touchdown pass when he blew by Cole Bishop and Rasul Douglas, which was tough. Tough. Safeties had a bad day. That deep pass can't happen. That kind of explosive play cannot happen. It's the difference in this game, a play like that. But when Allen's rolling to his right, he's not getting guys that find a pocket to get open. The guy who does it is Shakir. And Shakir was out today. He did connect with Kincaid a couple times on those. The one time they didn't, it was a questionable decision, I believe, by Sean McDermott to not challenge that call in the first half. It looked like Kincaid caught it to me. They didn't call it a catch on the field, so you're always worried about, do you have enough evidence? And that's an issue. They called it a catch they called it incomplete on the field. I don't think they would have changed it. I think it was close enough. You see the bobble. You can say 2 different things about it. I think they would say it was inconclusive. And that's a tough break for the Bills, but I think you still have to challenge it. What are you going to lose? They didn't use the challenge the rest of the game. Didn't use a timeout in the second half. So a questionable choice there, but those are the types of plays, back to the original point, that Allen has had to try to make, and it hasn't turned out well, and he was doing it again today. DeMeco Ryans had Joe Brady in a blender He had Josh Allen in a blender. None of the receivers could get open. D'Amico Ryans had a great game plan for the Bills today. They sent exotic pressures. They were really throwing a lot at Josh. I'm interested to see what the all-22 looks like because you can't really tell on a broadcast, but it seems like he couldn't see anything. But there's two things. Is it the receivers not getting separation and not being able to freestyle with Josh, which is one of his best traits? Because that's an issue. If you got, Coleman and Hollins and Samuel and these guys can't freestyle with Josh when he's out there, that's what Cole Beasley was good at, That's what Diggs was good at. He needs one of those guys. He needs a guy that can get open when the play breaks down and find him and meet him on his level. Kincaid was able to do it a couple times today, but Allen played horrible today. It's not just the receiver's fault. He was bouncing out of the pocket too early, made some questionable decisions, almost threw a couple picks. Allen had a bad game today. The defense had a bad game today. CJ Stroud, besides the interception, which is a great effort by Terrell Bernard, CJ Stroud, 28 of 38, 331, a touchdown. That's inexcusable. Ogunyabe, 6 receptions, 57 yards, and 15 carries for 30 yards. So the run defense held up pretty strong today, to be honest. Akers was 9 for 42. So he had a little bit of a better day, but the defense wasn't terrible when it came to running the ball. But the explosives are what killed them. They really tightened up in the second half. If we're talking about one positive to take from this game, in the second half, that defense tightened up. And it really was, even at the end, like the fact the Bills even had the ball, and we're going to get to this in a second. I can't not talk about it. We'll finish up the show with it on our post game about the decision at the end. Even when it came down to it, that defense made a stop and got the Bills the ball back with a chance to get to overtime. It was impressive. The second half was impressive. The first half can't happen, but the second half was impressive. But the offense wasn't helping the defense. I can't blame the defense a lot. Besides the one explosive play, it's 16 points. Now, they've let up 2 big explosives like that the last couple weeks, 67 and 87 yards. That's got to be cleaned up. You can't win games letting that up. But I think they did a good job overall. This is an offense loss. The line got bullied a lot of times today. James Cook was the best player on offense, which he has been basically all year long. Allen was seeing ghosts, couldn't find anything, was uncomfortable all day, and the receivers couldn't get separation. Now let's get to McDermott at the end. The other team has 3 timeouts. There's 41 seconds left, right? You have the ball 1st and 10 at your own 4-yard line. As I just said, James Cook has been your best player all day. James Cook ended the day 20 carries for 82 yards. So 4 yards a carry. So let's just hypothetically say that on 1st down, James Cook gets 4 yards. Timeout. And then I'm even going to say this. Next play, James Cook 1 yard. Timeout. So Houston's down to 1 timeout. What do? Do you run the ball again? If you do, you could get 5 yards pretty easily and get a 1st down. And then you're getting to then you can kneel the ball and get to overtime and maybe get the ball back with your offense not at the 5-yard line and some time to work. 3rd and 5 sounds a lot better than 3rd and 10 to me. And that's not even saying maybe James Cook breaks it off. He had a long of 12 yards. What if he gets 12 yards on 1st down? I know you got Josh Allen, and I know that Josh probably wanted to go throw out there. He probably didn't want to give up overtime. Allen was good on his legs today. He was putting on the Superman cape, 4 for 54 when he needed to, but he couldn't throw the ball. And they go 3 straight throws, 3 straight incompletions. It's a disaster. It's atrocious game management. We got some comments here. How is it Samuel is still not part of the offense? Shout out to my dad, to Micah. What was the plan for him when they signed him? Your guess is as good as mine. What is the point of these screens and swings? I think Meerkat, or it was either Meerkat or Brother Bill, somebody tweeted earlier. It's like, if he doesn't run regular routes, why would teams think he's ever getting the ball? And then when you see the swing, like, you know it's coming. There's no innovation with Samuel. They don't trust him to run actual routes. It doesn't seem like Josh trusts him at all. Mac Hollins was on the field way too much today. Their receiving core is an issue. We've known the receiving core is going to be an issue. It is what it is, though. Our O-line was and is terrible. Yeah, it was a bad day for the O-line. It's been bad week back to back. Will Anderson, D'Amico Ryans got a lot of. Will Anderson had a lot of pressure today. D'Amico Ryans had a great scheme. Last week, the Ravens put a lot of pressure on them. It's been a rough couple weeks, but a disaster class by McDermott at the end. Disaster. That's all we really got to say. I mean, it's a bad week. It's bad all around. Allen struggled. The O-line struggled. McDermott made poor decisions throughout the game. The defense let up another explosive, is going to have to withhold that. Bad situational football. Just a bad loss all around. This is a game that they should have won, and now the Bills are going to be facing an uphill battle. I mean, first of all, they have a game with the Jets coming up on Monday that is for first place in the division. And then they're going to be facing an uphill battle towards the top of the AFC standings the rest of the year because they've lost tiebreakers to two other divisions leaders. Josh was knocked out cold. Have more faith in Mitch to score near the guard line. I don't think Josh was. I thought he was knocked out at first, but if he set his chest, I think he got the wind knocked out of him. It was a bad hit like that. I think he could have been knocked out, but if he passed the concussion protocol, it could be shady, whatever it is. I do think there's a possibility the wind was knocked out of him. I'm interested to see what he says in the post game about that. But that's going to do it for the Picasso post-game show. This is Jake Micah. We'll be back on Tuesday for Pay the Bills to break this game down. Mike Bunn, I know, feels a certain way. I'm sure the rest of the crew is going to feel a certain way about this game as we go into a huge Monday night matchup with the Jets, two struggling teams. Dude, yeah, I said, yeah, he could have been knocked out and everything, but he set his chest and they let him back in. So I want to see what they say after the game and when we hear about that. But it's very possible he was concussed and they just put him back in. But he's going to try to get his way back in that game. A lot of guys are. But that'll do it. That's going to do it for the show. Go Bills. We'll be back next week. Big game Monday night to get control of the division here because we got to hold that down before we get a playoff spot. And then a lot of things to work out. Hopefully get healthy by next week. So have a great rest of your Sunday, folks, and we'll see you next week.